moderator for today's webinar. Ma'am will join soon. There is some connectivity issue. She will join soon. So, I would like to share one thing with you all. Like, we are right now 29 in number. I would like to share one thing. Like, whenever I join a webinar or conduct a webinar, one questions come in my mind that what makes a webinar interesting, fruitful? And I wonder many times. Finally, I find the answer. What's make a webinar fruitful and worth it? It's the audience. It's the audience who make the webinar very interesting, fruitful. When you guys come up with your questions, queries, when you interact, that makes a webinar fruitful webinar. That's all. So I request you all that please come up with your points, questions, and queries. Try to interact with us, share your views on the topic, and let's make this webinar one of the best webinar conducted by Just for Kids. Thank you.
Good morning, participants. Participants can unmute themselves and we can have an informal discussion before the webinar. As you all know, the topic of the webinar is, are we ready for upcoming privacy wave? So we would like to know what are your views on it. Participants can unmute themselves. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
My name is thank you everyone for joining us today on this webinar. My name is Arnav, and she is Vibhuti Sharma. We will be the moderator for today's webinar on topic: Are we ready for upcoming privacy wave? Uh, Conducted by Justvocates Law Journal.
As the panelist of this webinar, we at Justvocates Law Journal is proud to welcome Advocate Kanika Bhardwaj. She is founder and partner at Kanika Bhardwaj Law Firm. Ma'am has completed her LLB from Deloitte Law College and also holds a master's in business laws from MIT University. She specializes in matrimonial, criminal, domestic violence, family, corporate, 138 NI Act, civil, real estate, insurance, debt recovery, insolvency, drafting and vetting of documents, labor and business law related cases. Presently, she is working on cases all over Delhi NCR and Mumbai in all district courts, High Courts of Delhi, High Courts of Mumbai, and Supreme Courts of India. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us today.
I would like to inform one thing. If anyone has question or queries, please do type it in your Google Meet question box, and we will try to bring it up in between the discussion.
And at the end, the floor will be open to all the participants who might have questions they would like to ask.
All right, so should we start?
Yes, ma'am, we can start with the discussion.
All right, so good evening, everyone. I'm sorry I'm late, but I believe I'm on time. So let's start with this today's webinar, which is Are we ready for the privacy wave or not? So, we live in an era where we no longer have to stand in the queues in front of the banks or banking services, or we don't have to go to malls for shopping. No, we go, but we don't have to go for that also because we can order it online. There are various apps like WhatsApp, Facebook, which they keep us connected. And nowadays, due to COVID outbreak, we are able to see all together a different way of working, which we never thought it would be. So this is the information technology boom, we can say. Extension in the accessibility. We are seeing a new world where communication, sharing of information, and transparency are much more better. But as it is said, there will be some disadvantages for every good. So for this good also there are certain disadvantages. But as technology is increasing and developing, there are certain disadvantages. We can see a rise in misuse, which is largely inevitable in addition to the increasing use of internet for exchange of, there is an exchange of sensitive information, private and commercial information. So there is a misuse of that. And there are other heinous crimes also, like cybercrime is there. So with the rise of this technology boom, we are facing certain misuse also. So this is the topic that are we ready for this digitalization? Are we ready for this technology or not as of now? So it is good that we are moving towards an advanced technology. It is good. But as a citizen, as an individual, I will ask privacy. And if there is a privacy, where are my rights? So I will ask all these questions. So there are several issues that are raised. To whom does this information belong? Who will be able to access it? What if there are any limitations on the use of this information? And if I delete my pictures, is it still there as a backup or not? And the most important one, it is a threat to national security. Because you must have recently heard that Indian government has banned all the Chinese apps, including PUBG. So I used to play a PUBG a lot, and I'm really sad about it. But anyway, so we must have heard, that all these Chinese apps, these are getting banned due to the national threat to security. So all these questions are raised up. And also, as I said previously, that cybercrime issues are also related to this only. Privacy was a key element of human life at all the times. It is a key element. But as more data is digitalized and more information is communicated online, more importance is attached to data privacy, we can say. So now, considering the present situation, even the Constitution of India in Article 21 states that no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liability except according to the procedure established by law. And it was again held by the court. Is also a part of right to protection of life and personal liberty. So now right to privacy has all it is the wordings of the court that right to privacy is now a fundamental right under Article 21. So this is our right to privacy. Now, on 2nd September 2020, the Ministry of IT invoking its power, they basically invoked their power under Section 69A of the IT Act in the view of the emergent nature of threats, and they blocked 118 mobile apps. It was blocked. These apps were engaged in activities which are prejudicial integrity of India, defense of India, state, security of state and public order. So all these apps, they considered that it is against the so they banned these 118 apps. So this move by the ministry, and this is a recent move. So this, even the TikTok was banned, yes. So this move by ministry was to safeguard the interest of crores of Indian people and internet users. Actions against all these things, against the crime which is raising against the national security and data privacy also. So now this kind of involvement makes us more stronger, and at least we can have faith that yes, now we are ready for the privacy wave, and now we are ready for all such kind of things. But then again, how much weapons do we have in our hands is the question, because we have come we have covered certain part, but still there is a long way to go. So first of all, we should know that all such things related to data privacy and all such aspects related to privacy are dealt with Information Technology Act. So whenever someone says someone privacy and all these kind of things, then you have to, there is only one thing that you have to refer is Information Technology Act. Just start with that. So now with between public and private, with this act they have done this. But if we see on the social media side, the line between public and private is kind of blurring. If we see on the social media part, they are blurring the line between public and private, but the act has jumped in and they said that no, there is a line between public and private, and which I personally also believe is when the line between public content and private content is blurring. So even I personally do believe that it is not good, and it also affects the mental health of a person, because once your private things are public, it directly affects your mind, and in that case there is no law could do anything. It is directly affecting your mind, and in that case no law could do anything, that is for sure. So now not only this, your bank accounts and your financial data, your the information about your family members, that who all are activities that you do, you would want to keep that private, because you would want that all such content should be private, but then it becomes public without your consent, and all you can do is nothing. But the ministry is trying since few years to stop all this. And there are some really efficient steps taken by the government to secure the privacy of citizens. Though, as I said, that it is a long way to go, but at least government has realized that this is one very important issue that has to be taken consideration into, and the privacy of the citizens need to be secured. So for that, now I'll tell you certain provisions that probably have been, given in IT Act. So Section 43A has been inserted. I won't be able to tell you all the sections, all the provisions. There are so many provisions in the IT Act, but since we are just discussing about the topic in brief, so I'll be telling you certain provisions. So section 43A is inserted. So according to section 43A, a corporate body deals with any sensitive personal data or information and is negligent in maintaining reasonable security to protect such data. So now, number one, if any corporate body is dealing with sensitive data, and then you are being negligent in maintaining the reasonable security to protect that data or information, which causes wrongful loss to the person and wrongful gain to any other person, then such body corporate shall be liable to pay damages. So this is section 43A, and there are several other provisions also. If you'll go through, if you'll do a brief and deep research in this particular thing, you will be able to find many other judgments also. But yes, this is section 43A. The other one is section 72A of IT Act. So according to section 72A, the punishment for disclosure of information in breach of lawful contract, and any person may be punished with imprisonment for the term exceeding 3 years or with a fine not exceeding up to 5 lakh rupees. So if you disclose any information, if any corporate body disclose information and breaches the lawful contract, for example, there is a contract, like what we do is when you download WhatsApp, there is a consent clause given, and then you accept that consent, you accept the terms and conditions. So now you are bound with a particular agreement. So now in that case, if any corporate body discloses your information after and breaches the contract, in that case, that corporate body or the director of that corporate body shall be liable for the punishment imprisonment also for 3 years, and will be liable to pay the damages also. So this is now section 72A. And the last section that I'll be discussing is section 75, which mandates that provision of this act shall also apply to an offense committed outside India. So this is a very interesting section that probably you should know, that now this section mandates that provision of this act, it means that this act shall also apply to any offense which is committed outside India by any person if the conduct constituting an offense involves a computer network located in India. So even if you're outside India and somebody is, doing some kind of mischief or doing some kind of cyber crime and his computer is located in India, then also these provisions can apply. So in that case also the IT Acts come into the picture. Now, however, the scope and coverage of IT Act and rules are very limited. So majority of provisions only apply to sensitive personal data and information collected through computer science, computer resource. The provisions are restricted to corporate entities undertaking the automated processing of data and consumers. And there is no provision on data localization, which was the major concern and reason for the ban of Chinese apps in India. So there is no provision of that as of now. So in order to address these limitations, India needs a comprehensive data privacy law. We need a comprehensive privacy law. Only mere just these clauses would not probably do anything, because now we are at the stage where where, as I already told you, that where there is a boon of digitalization, technology is advancing. So in that case, probably obviously we need more laws and more clauses like this. So now, after the Supreme Court landmark judgment in the Puttaswamy case, which held that privacy is a constitutional right, because as I already told you that now privacy has been a constitutional right under Article 21. So this was held in a case called Puttaswamy case. Once this judgment came in existence, the ministry formed a committee, and then the committee probably they drafted a new bill for protection of personal data. They drafted a new bill and they categorized the kinds of personal data. Now, this particular bill has categorized data under 3 broad heads. So the first one is personal data, the second one is sensitive personal data, and the third one is the critical personal data. So now the personal data is of also 3 types. which has been mentioned in this particular bill. So the personal data includes data which pertains to characteristics or attributes of society which can be used to identify an individual collected online or offline. Sensitive personal data includes your financial data, your biometric information. So this will come under sensitive personal data. And the critical data means that whatever the government has notified by the central government to be the critical data is called as critical data. So if you go through this bill, you will find some new laws that you would not have heard before. And there are some new laws, new clauses. So just to give you a brief, I'm just telling you the headings. Obviously, you have to
Ma'am, your voice is breaking.
just a second.
Ma'am, your voice is breaking.
Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so we were talking about, I guess we were talking about the new provisions in the bill. Yes, we were talking about that. So the first one, as I told you that you have to research more to know, to gather more information, but I'm just telling you the headings as of now because we don't have much time. So the first one is obligation of data fiduciary. Which the government has given, which the ministry has given on the processing of personal data. So personal data can be processed only for specific, clear, and lawful purpose. Limitation on purpose of processing of personal data, then there is limitation on collection of personal data, there is restrictions on retention of personal data, and then the very important one that probably all the apps are doing these days, consent, which is necessary for processing of personal data. So without the consent, you cannot, and consent is mandatory also, else you won't be able to download that app only. So consent is necessary for processing of personal data. The personal data shall not be processed except on the consent given by the data principal. Data principal are we, the citizens, at the commencement of this proceeding. So if you see that in all the apps, if you will download Facebook, if you will download any gaming app, they'll ask you for the consent. So consent is mandatory. Without the consent, you won't be able to even download that app. But that is mandatory. And another very important and very nice thing to know is that offences under this act shall be cognizable and non-bailable. So cognizable, all the offences are cognizable, they can be settled. So cognizable means that they can be settled, but they are non-bailable. So once the offence is non-bailable, obviously you have to go to court only to get the bail. So this is one very interesting part. So this shows the strictness of the government, that they are trying their level best to get us ready for the privacy wave. So this is the only reason why such strict provisions are into the acts and into the bills. But obviously, when we talk about the implementation part, definitely I think we are lacking somewhere, because the implementation is not as such that it should be, for the several reasons. Reasons can be that number one, that we don't have resources in India. We don't have that much resources that we can compete and we can find a person who is, you know, even in cybercrime, if you will see that one of the major reasons why we are lacking in the implementation of cyber laws is because we don't have appropriate resources, we don't have appropriate trainings. So when we think about this, when we think in this way, we think that we have a doubt that are we ready for the wave or not. But then when we think and when we see the provisions available for us, then we can say that yes, we can like kind of move in this privacy wave, but obviously there is a long way to go. There are certain long comprehensive law that we are in need of, but probably that will happen with time, because if government is taking such kind of measures, then probably in few years or in a decade or so it will happen. So now okay, so yes, there is one very interesting new right that has been, that is into an existence these days, which is right to be forgotten. I don't know whether you have heard about it or not, but there is a new right which people are talking about, is right to be forgotten. This right has not been discussed earlier in India, though in European countries it has been made effective. It is being implemented in European countries. It was originated in Spain basically, but in India all we have is just a draft as of now. A bill is passed, but it has not been converted into an act as of now. So, a right to be forgotten, this is one very interesting right that we can talk about. So, what exactly happens is when you are using a social media, when you use a social media, let's say Facebook or WhatsApp or Twitter, etc., and you have uploaded several pictures and videos of yours on this social media website. Let's talk about Facebook only. Now you have and but after you have uploaded those pictures and videos and several information, but after few days or after few months or at any point of time during your lifetime, you feel that these pictures should not be there on the internet and you delete it. You want to delete those pictures and videos, and the same gets deleted on the website. For example, okay, let's discuss taking an example only. For example, you have uploaded a picture on Facebook and then you want to delete it. So it will be deleted from the Facebook, but does it get deleted from the internet as a whole? Does it get deleted from the server, or it is deleted from the database, or maybe some other person has started using that picture? So will it get deleted from there? So the answer is no. You delete a certain video or a picture of yours on Facebook, but it gets deleted from the Facebook, but it does not get deleted from the internet as a whole. It will still be there in the server, and there is a kind of a database that all these people are maintaining. The entire Facebook management, they maintain a database, so they do not delete all these things. And there is one of the software in London where the person can retrieve this particular software is only in London and it is very expensive software. But what this software does is that it can retrieve all the deleted WhatsApp chats and WhatsApp audios and videos that you have deleted. That particular app can retrieve that. So what does it mean? That even you have deleted it, there is a certain database who is still maintaining, who still have access to all these videos, pictures, your audios, your messages, whatever. So this is kind of a thing that is in existence into the system. So now the in the European country there was one case which came up, and through that case they implemented this right to be forgotten. It was originated in Spain first, and then the entire European countries have, started implementing the same. So, what does right to be forgotten means? What does it mean? Because see, when we are talking about privacy wave, and when we are talking about that, are we ready for the wave or not? Obviously, we have to discuss about all these things. So now, what does the right to be forgotten means? So the right to be forgotten is the right to have a private information, about a person be removed from internet searches and other directories under some circumstances. So there are some circumstances we have the right that, as the phrase itself suggests, the right to be forgotten. I have the right to be forgotten. If I want certain things to get deleted from the internet, I have that right. Uh, but under some circumstances. So the first circumstance is that that particular data has served the purpose for which it was made or is no longer necessary. So this is the first circumstance. The second circumstance is that the data was made on the basis of data principal consent. Data principal consent are we as citizens, we are data principal. So the content was made on the basis of data principal's consent, and such consent has been withdrawn. So as I gave you an example that we uploaded a picture, it was our consent, but now we deleted a picture, we have withdrawn our consent. Now we don't want that thing to be available all over the internet. So we have withdrawn our consent. So in that case also, this right to be forgotten will be applicable. And the third circumstance is the data was made contrary, obviously, which was against the policies of the government and other law enforced. So yes, in these three circumstances, we can have a right to be forgotten and we can implement that. So the right to be forgotten gives individual the ability to exercise control over their personal data by declining what information about them should be accessible by public through research engines and what should be not. So it does not, however, give users the power to demand that personal data be deleted from a site. But if that data, but ultimately it gives you kind of a control that what should be there and what not should be there. So once this new act comes into force, it's a bill basically as of now. The parliament has, both the houses have passed this bill. It is a bill now. This draft has been passed and it is a bill now, but this is not into an act as of now. So when this act comes into force, which will soon be, an individual whose personal data appears on internet searches will be able to apply to an adjudicating officer. So now there will be, as per this act, there will be one adjudicating officer, and the people who want certain content to be deleted from the internet as a whole, then that person can connect with the adjudicating officer for an order to remove such personal data from the public domain, provided the conditions stipulated under Section 27 of the new Act has been met. So Section 27 is right to be forgotten under the new Act. So as I already told you that in European countries, this law has already been made effective.
Ma'am, there is a question in the chat box. We would
Okay.
like to take it up. Ma'am, can you name case studies of actual privacy risk analysis?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Can you name case studies of actual privacy risk analysis? Ashish Yadi, you can unmute yourself and ask the question.
See, if you're talking about case laws and all these things, there are very limited case laws in India. In India, this act has not been implemented only. And probably to give you a case name in European country is not possible for me, because even I know only several case laws only when we talk about the European countries. So in India, there are only 2 or 3 cases that I will be discussing as of now in here only. So yes, that's what.
Yes, ma'am, continue.
All right, okay. Oh, yes, you're audible.
Yes.
Nothing. Right. All right. So see, now what the right to be forgotten is. Probably, I'll discuss 2, 3 case laws also, and then you will be able to understand the actual essence of the section, because I will be explaining 2 cases to you. Then you will be able to exactly understand the concept. But just to brush up whatever I have told you, that this right to forgotten, it means that you have the right to get forgotten. Once you, now what you do is that you upload a picture on Facebook. Okay, you have uploaded that picture on Facebook, you shared that, people shared that, everything. But at one point of time, you want that this picture should not be there on the Facebook or on the entire internet. That should not be there, because as I explained you the system, that there is a proper system that the Facebook management, the WhatsApp management, they have the entire database in their hand. The server is, even if you delete a picture, it is still there in the server. It does not get deleted from the server. It only will be deleted from that particular website. But that it will not be deleted from the database. The server will still be there. So now this act this particular right has been mentioned in this particular act to, we can pray from the authorities that that particular picture or that particular content that you do not want now to be there. You do not want now that other people or anyone should see this particular picture, or this picture should not be there on the internet. Then in that case, you can just pray from the officer that all this should be deleted from the database. Because the Google search engines, there is a possibility that the Google search engines may still show that particular piece of information. Now, for example, I have, I want to sell my property. I have uploaded a particular ad on Google engines. Now my property is sold. Now also I'm getting, several calls, and so now the Google engine, even though the transaction is over, my motive is over, but still the Google engine will show that particular piece of information. So I have the right that this particular information should be deleted. So this is the entire concept. Now I'll be coming up to 2-3 case laws, and when I'll explain you that, you'll be able to understand the actual essence of this particular right. All right. So where was I? Okay. So now let's talk about the case law only. Then only probably we'll be able to understand this particular provision. So now this is a case of India only, even though this particular right has not been implemented in India as of now, but the High Court and the Supreme Court is still considering this particular right. They are still considering it because it is the need. It is the need to implement this particular law. Now, what happens is that there is one case of Orissa High Court, and this particular case you can find it on Live Law also, and you can find this on Google also. If you write Orissa case, right to be forgotten act. Right, sorry. So if you will Google that out, you will be able to easily access this particular case. So now this is a case of Orissa, where what has happened was that there was a girl and a guy. They were into a relationship, and now the guy saw that there is nobody at the place of the girl, and he forcefully entered the place, and then the guy wanted to obviously rape that girl, and then while raping he recorded everything, and he took several pictures and everything of, and then he said to the girl that if you told anybody, then I'll upload that on Facebook and everywhere on the internet. And then what the girl did was that the girl initially the girl was refraining herself to tell to her parents, but then at one point apparently she told to the parents that yes, this has happened. Now once he told the parents were running here and there to police stations and all. The guy came to know, and the guy uploaded, he opened a fake Facebook ID, and in the name of the informant, and uploaded all the objectionable photos using that particular ID in order to further traumatize her. He uploaded all the videos, all the photographs, everything. So initially the police failed to take any step, and they portrayed some kind of unsoundness of the police system. After much difficulty, finally an FIR was lodged, and the case came into the eyes of the court. Now when what the court analyzed basically. So prima facie, it happened to the court that the petitioner uploaded the guy basically, he uploaded objectionable photos and videos on social media platform, and after the police intervention, the same was deleted. It was deleted when the police got involved. Everything was deleted from the Facebook. Even the Facebook ID was deleted. But the information in the public domain is like a toothpaste. Once it is out of the tube, one can't get it back in. And once the information is in the public domain, it will never go away. So it was the wordings of the judge only. The judge told the judge, when if you see the judgment, the judge has himself narrated this thing. That once, even though the Facebook ID was deleted, every video was deleted, every photograph was deleted, but it was not deleted from the public domain. On Facebook, it was deleted, but it was not deleted from the public domain. It was not deleted from the server. So now this was the situation where the reputation of that particular girl was distorted basically. So now the court observed the right of the victim in this case, even though the case will in 376, the case will be further proceeded. Whatever judgment will be passed will be passed. But what about the personal right of the lady? What about that? So the court observed that the criminal justice system prescribes a strong penal action against the accused of the heinous crime, but there is no mechanism available with the respect to the right of the victim to get the objectionable photograph deleted from the server of the Facebook. So this was the wordings of the judge when he was talking about when the other party made application in the court. They say that they want that all these objectionable photos should be deleted from the server, from the public domain. It is deleted from the Facebook, it's okay. But there are several other public domains. There are Google search engines. It is still there. And what can you do? But the court said that since there is no right of the victim as of now in India, where the victim could get the option that objectionable photograph deleted from the server. So this was the observation of the court. Meanwhile, but then the court referred to the European countries' law. The court referred to the right to be forgotten. So in the case of Google, where this case for where this right was basically emerged, as I already told you that this right was emerged in Google, in Spain, in European countries, and the Google was the one who was the main, main point where the main target was the Google basically. So there was a case in Europe that where the European Court of the Justice ruled that the European citizens have a right to request that all the Google engines that gather personal information for profit. What are they doing? They're gathering personal information for profit. They should get the links removed. And the private information, when asked by the participant, should be removed. So this was first done in Spain in the case of Google. So now the court, now the Orissa High Court judge referred to this particular statement, and he thought about right to be forgotten. So now when he talked about the right to be forgotten, he interpreted this section, and then finally he gave the judgment while giving his view that allowing such objectionable photos and videos to remain on social media platform would without consent of a woman is direct affront on a woman's modesty and, more importantly, her right to privacy. So now he linked right to forgotten with the right of privacy, and he said that if we don't take any action, such videos and photos should be there, and it will continue outraging the modesty of a woman and her right to privacy. And therefore, the court ordered to remove such pictures from the server. And now there are, even if you will Google it out, there will be no such photographs of that particular woman. So this is the first case where just a glimpse of right to be forgotten has been seen in India. This is the first case. So now, Shivam, I believe that you are able to understand the essence. This section is not only limited to your one fun, crazy video or a photograph. It is much more than that. Much more and much bigger than that. See, right. But the only problem as of now is that this particular right is not implemented in India. This is only a bill. This is not an act as of now. So because we are talking about are we ready for the privacy waiver or not? So these are certain things that that can make us aware that yes, we can be ready for the privacy wave. But as you said that cyber cell should be that, and cyber crime should be involved, and it should be moved to cyber crime. These are opinions. This is your opinion. My opinions could be anything else. Other person's opinion could be anything else. But if we consider the present scenario, this particular right has just people are, High Court has just taken a glimpse of this particular right, but they cannot pass any order considering that particular right, because this is not in effect as of now in India. This is not a act as of now. This is only a bill. This is only what the houses have proposed. It is not passed in India as of now. So obviously, what we can do. So we are just discussing about all these things. So I hope I'm, because the question you are asking, there is no answer to that, for the reason being that the right is not into existence only as of now. This right is only being, as per law, this right is only being exercised in European laws. In India, it has been proposed, but it is not an act as of now. Once this becomes an act, your question will be there in the act itself.
Ma'am, as we have seen, the privacy on social media is grave in nature. Is this calling for a social media code too?
For social media, what, sorry?
Social media code. Social media code.
Social media code, yes, that is a very innovative thing that you have come up with. That there should be social media code also. There can be some other things also, but as I said, that we need a comprehensive, law. All these things are there in the act, but since we are waiting this act to be be in the force, once this act is in the force, this right, we can exercise this particular right. And in the act, there will be also provisions that what we have to do, which court we have to approach. Maybe there may be other tribunals, like for company cases there is NCLT. For environment related issues there is NGT. Maybe for such social media things, and there is some other tribunal made by the act. So we don't know that how they will implement. We don't know as of now. But yes, obviously there is a need of social media code also. It would be really great if it comes, but I think it will take like a lot of time, because this right, which has already been proposed, is not coming into existence as of now. It has been 4 or 5 years probably this act has been proposed, but it is still, it is not into existence. So I don't know how much time they will take to draft the social media code. But yes, if it comes into existence, obviously it is a very good thing for all of us probably.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, yes, yes. 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 No, no, that act is applicable on citizen of India only. That this act is not applicable to any other person who is not a citizen of India. Obviously, how we can bound that person? Now to explain you in a much better way, that for example, I am a citizen of India, and I am residing in USA for a few months or whatever. I am in USA, and now probably you are. Mischieving with my financial data, and you are trying to get my financial data in your computer, and your computer is in India, you are in India, and the computer is in India. So this act is applicable on you as well. So I can say that you should be punished. Yeah, so it is only applicable to citizens of India, not other citizens. They have much better privacy laws than our country, so they don't need our acts. We need more comprehensive laws. They don't need comprehensive laws. Um, right. So, okay, so there is another case that I would like to discuss with you all. Since we have a little bit of time, so we can discuss this case as well. So this is again on the right to be forgotten only, and this is again an Indian case where the court has again taken, has just tried to implement this particular right, but they are not able to implement it in a fully manner, because since it's not enforced in India as of now. So now this particular case, the petitioner had prayed for the removal of the name of his daughter from the digital records maintained by the High Court in a judgment. And this case was regarding the claims of marriage and the fraud, marriage and forgery and all these things. So his daughter's name was there. And now this particular person, he has prayed from the High Court that since his daughter's name is there, it is creating a it is creating a kind of a defamation for her, because the claim was regarding fraud marriage, and now she's not able to get married also because it is easily available on the public domain, and everyone knows about that. Even though she has been she has not been liable in the case also, but still when anyone typed her name on the Google search engine, the entire details popped up in the Google page, and then everyone got to know that. Now then everyone started defaming her, that she has been involved in the false claim of marriage and all these things. So now the petitioner prayed from the court that her name should be removed from the public domain at least. So the High Court observed that in line with the trend in Western countries of right to be forgotten in sensitive cases involving women in general, and highly sensitive cases involving rape or affecting the modesty and reputation of the person concerned. In this case as well, endeavor has been taken, and the court has said that the registry must ensure that the internet search made in public domain out not to reflect the petitioner's daughter name in the case title or the body of the judgment. However, it refrained from making any judgments in the High Court website and a certified order, because High Court judgment cannot be changed. Obviously, her name cannot be removed from the judgment itself. The name will be in judgment, the name will be in High Court website and the certified copy, but in all other useless articles where she was being dragged in by her name. So all such things were removed from the public domain. So this is another case that has been seen in India, and there are only few cases on right to forgotten that has been seen in India. The court is trying hard to implement this right, but since if the government will not pass the act, then obviously the courts can also not do anything, but still they are trying. So currently India does not have a settled position over what constitutes a right to be forgotten. We are not settled in this provision. So therefore your questions like it should go into cyber cell, it should there should be social code, or all these things, whatever question you're asking, because we are not settled as of now. There are certain laws which are settled, so we can say that yes, this is settled and this will only happen. If there is a civil crime, it will go according to CPC only. We can say that. But now since the position is only not settled, we don't know what the future will be. But the court has made a stand. So the various high courts of the country, have different views on the subject. Everyone has different views, and we have a lot of views. We have a lot of opinions. So when there is no specific interpretation, every court will interpret the same according to their mindset only. But let's wish that this act is in effect in India also very soon, so that this will affect the crores of Indians for their good, obviously. So now concluding the entire session, because the session was that are we ready for the privacy waiver or not? So now we can say that we are ready also, but we are not also. Okay, so we are constantly trying to get ready. We are constantly trying to get more weapons in our hands so that we can fight the misuse of privacy. But then obviously it will take time, and we are not in a stable position as of now. But let's see, let's hope for the good. Let's see what all measures government can give, what all provision the government can give us. So I hope the session was a little useful for you and interesting too. So I hand over to the team.
Thank you.
Exactly, ma'am.
Anna, you can.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Exactly. We also hope that that bill will be implemented and will come up like an act. Like recently, ma'am, we talked about photos and videos and some personal information. Ma'am, recently, this is the era of cryptocurrency, right? In the current situation, the cryptocurrency is growing rapidly. So, ma'am, how far that data is protected? Like everything is on internet, everything is on web. Like how far cryptocurrency is protected? Is there any particular provisions or law which protect the cryptocurrency in our country?
See, when we talk about cryptocurrency thing, there are two things now. Number one, everything is protected. If you see, if you say that is it protected or not, everything is protected. But now the question comes that what if anything, what if anyone misuses it? So do we have any provision for that? So number one. Number two, when you talk about cryptocurrency, there is, as in India, there is only one thing that can be filed against cryptocurrency is fraud. So as of now, there is no particular code, there is no particular provision that defines a cryptocurrency or if anything like that. But if anyone in India is a victim of cryptocurrency fraud, then he will go under section 420 of IPC only. He will get the FIR done. He can also approach the cybercrime cell to know the location and to know the identity of the accused person. He can also go to the cyber cell, but then simultaneously he will go under section 420 of Indian Penal Code. So as of now, this is the status. But if anything good happens in future, then probably we'll conduct another webinar session.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
With this, we come to the end of the webinar. Now the floor is open to participants who might have questions they would like to ask. Participants can unmute themselves and ask.
Yes, please. All right. So see, until and unless, now there are two aspects. Now see, if something like this happens, obviously you will ask damages from Swiggy. You will not ask damages from Google. You will not do that. You will ask your damages from Swiggy only. But then, had the case been like this, if you had told the Swiggy to not keep a database of your personal information, and then something happens, and then Swiggy still, and then you have deleted everything from Swiggy. You have deleted your address, you have deleted your phone numbers, your debit card, whatever. You have deleted all these things. Now still, if you are able to find all these things in Google engine, then Google is responsible. So you have to give your, you have to withdraw your consent first. If you have not withdrawn your consent, if you have not informed or mailed or did any kind of took any kind of action against Swiggy in this regard, then obviously because this law is not into existence as of now, you have to take certain actions for doing that. You have to mail Swiggy. You have to send a legal notice to Swiggy, and even after that, if your information is still available on Google search engine, even after doing all these things, then Google is responsible. I hope you are able to understand what I'm saying. Yeah. So even if then your details are there on Google engine, because your details will never be shown on Google engines. If you mention a debit card or credit card number, that will never be shown on Google engines. So even if you try, you won't be able to find it. So in that case, how Google is responsible? But if your entire details are there on Google search engine, then Google is responsible. Even after when you have deleted everything from the Swiggy, you have deleted the account, you have deleted everything, still it is showing in the Google search engine, then Google is responsible.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other participant having any other question?
Good afternoon, ma'am. I would like to ask a question.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, my question is that how far have the crimes been accelerated in the country in relation to e-commercial privacy?
See, in e-commerce, when we talk about e-commerce things, in e-commerce things, the IT Act is self-sufficient. The IT Act is basically there, and there are several provisions, specific provisions in IT Act for e-commerce fraud and e-commerce everything. So now when you now I'll give you one of the example that the IT has now made mandatory that all the e-commerce website will have their privacy policy. So if you will probably go to any e-commerce website, you will be able to find privacy policies and terms and conditions in the end of the page. So why they are giving these privacy policies? It is because the IT Act has made mandatory that they will give the privacy policies and terms and conditions, and what will happen if these terms and conditions are breached and all these things. So every website have their own private laws. Okay, so that will be mentioned down in the website. And in case any website has committed fraud, as you say, see, when you take the name of the fraud, then section 420 IPC is always there, and it is a very, very well established law in our country. 420 is a very well established law. So uh, this is very well established. But apart from Indian Penal Code, if you want to go to cyber cell or anything like that, you have that options also. If you're talking about e-commerce, so on e-commerce the laws are pretty much clear and comprehensive. So you should refer IT Act in this regard, and probably you'll get all your answers. So there are very different situations when we talk about e-commerce breach, e-commerce fraud, all these things. So there are very different situations. So you will be able to get the accurate law as per the situation in the IT Act.
Sejal, we hope you have got the answer to your question.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, there is one more question from the
Thank you, ma'am.
participant, Anjali. Anjali, you can unmute yourself.
Okay. How can the future of IT in India be seen if the new laws are enacted and implemented?
See that once the laws are, because see, when the law comes into force, there are several opinions. For example, GST came into force, so certain people, when the law comes into force after several years, only uh, after being these laws got implemented after several years, only you will come to a conclusion that whether this law was successful or not. So at this point of time, obviously, we are thinking about that, yes, these laws should be there. But the fate of these laws, whether these laws will be successful or not, that obviously one will be able to tell few years after the law is enforced. For example, I gave you the example of GST. So GST came into force, and then after a few years, we came to know that whether it was a success or it was a fail. And still, people have like different opinions. So once this law is into force, which is a need of our country, I believe that it is a need of our country. The first requirement is that this act, these new laws should come into the force, and then after a few years, probably we'll be able to understand that whether it was a success or whether it was a failure.
Anjali, we hope you have got the answer to your question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other question from participants?
Yes, please. All right. So see, even if I am an influencer, it doesn't mean that I should not have the right to be forgotten. It's very simple. So even if I'm an actress, even if I'm a celebrity, I'm uploading certain pictures. But that's influencing is my job. It is my job. But then that does not mean that I should not have the right to be forgotten. If I have probably uh, okay, so I'll explain it personally. For example, someone is my ex, and I have uploaded certain pictures of my ex. I'm an influencer. Let's say I'm a TikTok influencer, and I've posted certain videos with my ex, and now I don't want that videos to be there. So I should have my right to be forgotten. So now when I want, yeah, so now when I want that these videos should not be there, now I find a new one. Now I want to upload pictures with him, and I believe that all the previous old videos are affecting my new relationship. I want that those videos and those pictures should not be there anymore. So I deleted them, but the Google engine is still showing that video. I deleted that video from TikTok, I deleted that from YouTube, but the Google engine will not delete it. The Google engine is still showing those pictures, and even if not showing those pictures, the pictures and the videos are still there in the server, or let's say in any other server. So I have my right to be forgotten. So I can ask the authorities. I can, by the way of an application, or I don't know that what mode that the government will prescribe in the future, but by the way of an application, or by the way of the oral communication, I will approach the authorities that I have already deleted my videos and pictures from this particular website. Please delete it from the server and public domain also. Yeah, most welcome.
Thank you, ma'am, for such an amazing webinar. We are grateful for the time and efforts you took to share your thoughts with us. It was a great discussion.
Most welcome.
Thank Thank you all the participants. The joining certificate will be provided to you by mail. For further query, you can mail us to our JustVocate mail, which is info.justvocate@gmail.com. Thank you.
The core members of JustVocates can stay in here, rest all participants can leave.